Okay, this week we're going to focus on WPF application using Community Edition 2015. WPF, according to your reading that you read this week, is different than regular Windows application based that we've been focusing on. WPF brings in what's called XAML. If you look at the bottom of the screen here that we're looking at on this project I've been playing with, this is a major difference. XAML allows WPF to run totally separate from any other Windows application framework. So you can do things with XAML that you could not do with regular Windows-based or WinForms-based applications. An example is like with a button here, like a calculate button, you can incorporate images and text all within the same button, which you can manipulate with code here in XAML. The flip side is, because you're having to manipulate things and you can do things differently in WPF, you have to do it all within code. It's a little bit more difficult. So this week you're just going to play with WPF, get it off the ground running. You'll see some differences in how the forms look and how things are added, objects are added. But as far as interface and result for the end user, it pretty much is going to act the same as a Windows form-based application. When WPF first came out, it ran totally within a web browser. In fact, Internet Explorer is the only thing it came out working with. Now it actually is compiled down to an executable form, like your Windows-based WinForms we've been working on. So you'll be creating a WPF application of your own. I'll give you a couple examples in this week's assignment of different types of applications you could create. The one I'm going to be showing you today is a calculator application. I'm going to show you the end result, and then we'll start from the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button here. And it's a simple calculator. One of the things you'll notice is I have a tooltip on all of the objects here. Entering number 1, select math equation, enter number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in 3 times 3, click calculate, and I can select multiple math and do the same, math equations. So pretty simple output, pretty simple layout. Now let's show how this works. So one of the things you'll notice maybe about the form here is looks a little different than a Windows form. It almost looks well, even different than a web form, because it's called a WPF app. It's created its own maximize, minimize, and X close buttons. It also has a different feel over here for the labeling of the form. So let me show you how this works. We're going to hit the File menu first, New Project. Go ahead and save what I've worked on here. So we're going to be we've been using a Windows form application. We're going to do WPF application. And for this example here, I'm going to call it my calculator. Click OK. One of the first things you'll notice here when you run the project, create the project, is the Windows form is here above. You have the XAML code below, which if you've taken any web classes or done any web development, it looks a lot like HTML. But it's actually based on XML, is what it's based on. What's happening here in XAML is this first part, the window tag, has an opening tag and a closing tag. See if I can expand this for you to see it better. So you got your opening Windows tag, your closing window tag, your opening grid tag, and your closing grid tag. The grid tag is this right here that has nothing in it right now. The window tag does have some things in it, like the title of the menu. I can change here, or I can change in the property over here on the right side if I click on the WPF form. So I can come in here and change this here, and I'll go ahead and do it right now. I'm just going to go put here test for right now. You'll notice when I typed in test, it changed it also here in XAML to test, but I can also do it in the code as well, in the XAML code. So if I wanted to rename that to something more fitting, and you'll notice as I'm typing things, they're changing here in the title. I'll go ahead and back it up a little bit, and if you see here, it's changing dynamically as I'm typing it. And that's different than Windows Forms as well that we've been working with. It wasn't until you applied it that you could actually see it. I could also change the dimensions of the screen here, height and width of it. So if I could change maybe the height instead of 350, maybe I want it to be 300, and it'll dynamically change it. So major differences there between Windows Forms is a XAML piece of it. Once you get used to developing in WPF, which WPF is used a lot, you'll see in the reading this week, for business applications that want really eye-popping graphs and dynamic graphs, really fits well on there. So I'm combining basically a Windows form and a web interactive interface, and that's what WPF is, if that makes sense. So I've got my chart up here, or my grid, and now over here on the left, a lot of these you'll notice are the same as what you've had before. Some are going to be different though. Like an example would be frame is different, grid splitter is different, media element, password box, progress bar, those are all the same in there. But as you go down, you'll see some differences in tools that are available, but you'll see some similarities as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put in here, create a calculator, and first thing I'm going to do is select a text box and drag it in there. And you'll notice when I drag it in there, immediately in the grid now, here below in the XAML code, it added in there the XAML instance for that text box, giving me the name of it, the horizontal alignment, height, width, whether it wraps or not, the default text in the text box, that it's top aligned to the text box, and there's a width. I'm going to go ahead and before I'm going to leave this actually the same width as it is right now by default. And I'm going to do a Control-C to copy it and a Control-V to paste it. You'll notice down here it pasted it immediately. In the grid though, you just click on that box and it should be able to drag it now to the right, that duplicate you just made. Then I'm going to add in here a combo box to select the different math equations. I'll throw that right between there, and I'm going to click on the right bar there and as you're dropping items in here, you will notice the ability to snap in like other WinForms. Now I need to the right here an equal symbol. I'm just going to use a label to do that. And content, replacing label with equals. And then to the right of that, another label for the total. And so now let's go ahead and put in a button below here before we name our objects. So below everything, I'm going to put a button. So this first text box, I'm going to, and by the way, when I'm clicking on each one of these, you'll notice in XAML it highlights it as I click on each object. So I could name this in the property, or I could name it in XAML. Let's do it in XAML just to show you the differences. It might be a little quicker. This first one is txt val1. I want the text property to be empty. The combo box is going to be on the name property CBO math. Text property for the second one here, it's TextBox underscore copy, txt val 2. And again, if you don't want to do it this way in the XAML, you can do it over here in the properties as you do in WinForms, the text property. And get rid of text box, and you'll know it's gone over here. Label, LBL total, and there's not a text property for this one. It actually uses a property called content, and content property, you'll notice, is right to the right of the label name property. But so I can kind of see what's going on, the user can see there's something there. I want to put a background to that label. So in the brush property of the label here, I'm going to select a light gray just by clicking in here. And let me expand this button to be the same width of everything. Now let's name the button. ATM Calc. Okay, and then let's play to see what it looks like here. And to play, you just hit the start button as always in a Windows, like in a Windows app. Alright, so everything looks okay. Make sure my numbers are showing up. I haven't put anything here in the math yet. Alright. So, I'm going to click on this combo box and go over to the property for the combo box for collection. Which under to the right of items, the word collection, there's an ellipsis button. Click on that. And I'm going to add in 4 math equations, plus, minus, division, multiplication. Before I hit the add button, though, I need to change it from button to combo box item. Click add. And then scroll down to content. I'll do plus first. Add another one. Minus. Add another one. Division. And make sure you don't click OK, because if you click OK, you have to come back and select combo box item each time. So if you just click add until you're done, then when you're done, finally click OK. That will be fine. The last one here, multiplication. And we'll do the large with a caps X there. Okay. Now I can click OK and run it just to make sure everything's there. There we go. Now I want to add some tooltips to this one, this one, this one, and the calculate button. So click on each object and go to the tooltip property. And we're going to put in, some prompts for the user. Enter number 1. That one we're going to select equation. And this is another difference from WinForms. You have to add a tooltip object to do this. It's built into WPF. And then calculate. Click to calculate equation. Alright, now we're ready to enter in some code. To do that, I'm going to double click on the calculate button. It'll bring me into the code for WPF. Alright, now I'm going to declare a couple of variables here, and to save time I'm going to go to the one I've already created earlier. If you are working on two separate applications, what I'm getting ready to do, you can open up Community Edition twice by just control clicking and opening up Visual Studio 2015. Alright, so let me go to a recent project. And I might have named my objects differently. We'll find out here real quick. Copy my code here. Alright, so I think text num, I think I did text val 1 and text val 2, and for the results I did LBL total instead. I'm going to go over these in just a second. So first line is to declare something as a string called calc. Then calc is a string. Declared two doubles, num1, num2. Num1 got the contents of val1 text box, converted it to a double. Same thing with num2, converted num2 text box to a double. Then took the contents of the combo box, whatever selected, put that into the calc string. Then a select case determines whatever they've selected in the combo box, and then does a calculation and puts it in the label total. So if they select a plus symbol, it's going to take num1 plus num2. If they select a minus, num1 minus num2. A division, num1 divided by num2. And times, num1 times num2. That's it as far as the content of that. So let's go ahead and run it and see how it works, or if it works. So make sure my prompts work. There you go. Enter number 1, select equation, enter number 2, and click to calculate. So I'm going to put 3, calculate, correct. Let's go to minus, correct. Division, good. And times. There we go. A couple of other things that could be added to this for extra credit this week would be verification and validation that numbers were entered in here. The combo box was selected with a value other than null. Could also put a clear button in here as well if you were going to do a calculator. You don't have to, that's just an example. So again, this is just to show how to use WPF. You should by this point know how to do validation of what I just talked about, how to validate objects to make sure they have content with an if statement, things of that nature. To save this, just like a Windows application, I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button. It'll prompt me to save it to my documents folder as always with the name of my project. If it doesn't exist, it'll create a directory for me. Click save. Now if I go to my documents folder, Visual Studio 2015, projects, my calculator, keep opening up to the bin folder, debug folder. There's the executable file that XAML created in WPF. If I open that by itself, everything should work just like it worked in the test environment. And this executable could actually just be dumped anywhere on your Windows computer in any folder and it will run. Or you can share it with anybody and it will run. The one requirement for WPF that they would need on their Windows machine, I'm right clicking here on the properties for my calculator. And it'll be a .NET framework, 4.5.2, which you have Windows 10. If they have Windows 10, it should work out of the box. So that concludes creating a WPF application. There will be an extra podcast on how to package your applications this semester to kind of wrap everything up and put a bow on it. It's where you can share your application and create an install of that application to give to other people. So that concludes this week. Have a great week.